on the dating scene, I often hear about so many stories about how many women they have so many dates that leads to nowhere, and then they also found many men who don't know what they want, don't want serious commitment, etc., etc. You see, in my life, I had been on dating apps only 2 times. And on those 2 times, I only went out to meet in total 5 men. And out of those 5 men, 2 of them I have had a serious relationship with them, and only one of them we didn't go past the first date because when I went out with him, I actually lowered my standards a bit. And then I immediately regretted in that date because he was kind of shady actually. And he tried to actually use pickup techniques on me. And I was immediately, this guy is a no-go. So how did I actually do so that I didn't have to have so many dates, like all those stories that we hear of nowadays? I always wanted men who are like an alignment by knowing what they really want, by knowing that they also actually want something serious, and then they also take initiative in progressing things, in making things happen. So I have always been quite ruthless with this rule, and I can never really lower my standards on this rule because I know that for me to not waste time and to find someone really aligned, I have to be really strict and ruthless with this rule. Because what happens is that many women, they give opportunity, like, oh, maybe I'll try out this guy and see how it goes in real life, etc., etc. But many people, men or women actually, before we even meet them, they already show red flags, signs of incompatibilities. And it's important that we really pay attention so that we don't really waste our times. And as a single mother on the dating scene, I couldn't really waste my time because my time was really precious. And it was really just like little windows because I had to co-parent, like the days off, the nights off, they are really precious and few. So I couldn't just waste it like mindlessly. So how do I actually filter the people that I meet? See, for example, Bumble. There is a functionality that actually I really appreciate, is that I could see who actually swiped positive. I don't know left or right, I can't remember. But actually already had interest in me. And with that, I already save a lot of time because then I can see from those men who already showed the initial interest in me, who would I feel compelled to also reciprocate. And then what I do is that I often see who really takes initiatives. So, for example, in Bumble, what usually happens is that women has to take the initiative to send the message, to initiate conversations first, right? And what I do is I say hi, or at maximum I would say, hey, how are you? How's your day? And then I will see okay, they say hi as well, but will they try to continue the conversation? And how do they actually do so? Because I can tell you, some men, they just say hi as well, and then they just wait to see what you would say. And with this man, I would immediately, lose the interest because I actually want something really masculine and that can take initiative. That's what I feel attracted to. So when there's a man that just says hi, but they don't know how to foster more conversation, they don't know how to ask questions as well, then they are not really showing much interest. And I really like it when man knows how to show interest. And I can tell you, when a man is really intentional, when they are really masculine, that juiciness, they know exactly what they want. Like if they see that you can be a potentially interesting person, woman, they will lock that in. As in, they will start to ask you questions to try to know you better. And just after a few interactions, they will already try to plan on meeting you in person, on planning a date. And they will keep the conversation constant and with a good level of frequency. So, for example, out of so many men that I've seen on dating apps, there are men who would just have like random conversations with you. I had, for example, one man who would like have voice messages like, "Oh, today I'm at the beach. It is so nice," etc. And sometimes he would ask like, "Oh, how's your day?" And then I would answer about it. And then the conversation just dies there. And then a day or two later, he would do something similar again. And after, one, two times, I lost interest because I saw that he's not in the masculine energy that I would find delicious. And for example, the man that I ended up being in a relationship with, he was showing like the constant interest. Like he was sending me messages constantly, like as in like every day there would be one or two conversations, even if they were brief, they weren't too long, but they were enough to understand, for example, what do I do in my life, what do I enjoy doing, and all those things, so that he has a initial idea of if I would be a potential match to him. And while I let him take the initiative to see that, okay, if he is a man that takes initiative or not, I respond him with the same level of interest and curiosity. So I also ask questions, so I also show my interest. And that's how he also knows that I am interested in him, in knowing him better. And then some time later, we ended up meeting in person because he invited me to go out and meet in person. And before the day that we met, he also checked in with me. Hey, like tomorrow, is it confirmed that we will meet at this hour and at this place and etc. And even after our first date, he was like consistent, and the conversation would be like almost every day that is happening. And he would continue to, schedule dates with a few days of like previous, so that we will have time to, say yes, no, and adjust, etc. So when it comes to, you know, seeing the if a man is like a potential good partner or not, when we meet them, there is also already a lot that we can know just by, for example, how committed and how much direction he has in his life. Because what happens is that many men, when they are kind of avoidant, is usually because they lack of a sense of direction in their lives. And many men, especially those who don't have financial stability, like their career sorted out and they are like all over the place. These men, they usually have a harder time to commit because they are not in a phase of life where they have this level of stability. And usually it impacts more on men because, and especially if he is a more masculine man, in his subconscious, he wants to be ready to be the provider, and he knows that by committing to a woman, it takes a level of his own stability to be able to have this commitment with a woman, to do something really serious. So many men, when they don't have this, then they actually don't know what they really want. But they still, because they are still human and they still want connection. So that's why many men, they just jump into relationships, but then end up not having a sense of direction. And of course, some men, they also actually act like an avoidant without really being an avoidant, because eventually they get turned off by certain behavior some women display. And I actually talked about this in a previous video, and you can check that out, which is very interesting. Like many of us don't even realize that there are things that we do, especially at the beginning of the dating phase, that we end up turning off men. And then we think that they are avoidant, but they are actually not really avoidant. But anyways, so during the dating scene, it's also important to understand that you shouldn't put all your eggs on one basket right away. So, with rotational dating, which is, getting to know different men, well, not getting intimate with them, or all of them, of course, but, at least when you are getting to know each other in this initial phase, you it's important that you can allow yourself to get to, go out and meet different men so that you can know what kind of man, what kind of relationship dynamics you might like more and that you might feel more compatible with. So that it also gives you the choices that you might have, and not just go for, invest all your time, energy on just one potential person when you don't even know if it might go well. So, what I did was that I was meeting different men and had a few dates with each of them. And then as things progresses, I could know with whom do I feel more compatible with, that I might potentially have more connection with. And then when the guy also feeling that, like for example, when the guy also, getting to know different women, and then they see, okay, with Monica, it seems that I like her more, and I want to progress things. Then when he takes the initiative to, have the talk, hey Monica, I would love to have a more serious commitment with you, an exclusive relationship, etc. Then I also, you can say, oh, why are women not taking this initiative and all? Well, first, for me at least, I want a masculine man. I want the man who takes initiative so that I can relax more on in my feminine. So, for me to know which man would be like more masculine and take initiative, I have to let him do it and not me stepping up to do so. Because if I do that, then he might agree, like, oh, okay, yeah, we can have a like commitment relationship. But then I might never know if he just said yes just because, or if he actually steps up and he takes the initiative, then I can know for sure that he is actually interested. And that for me actually feels much better, because, like many women, our hearts, we want to feel this assurance that the man is choosing us, and then we also choose them. But when we are taking so much initiative, then we never know, right? So, if you find this information useful, I have a lot more to share. And if you have anything specific that you might want to know about dating, relationships, marriage, you can also leave a comment to let me know what you might want me to talk about, and I can talk about in one of my next videos. So, if you really like this, feel free to like, share, and subscribe to stay in touch. And I'll see you next time. Bye.